Tonight, if you step outside and look at the horizon, you see streetlights and buildings guiding your way. But if you were to stand in the middle of the Sahara Desert 40,000 years ago, there was nothing. No roads, no landmarks, no light, and no surface water for hundreds of miles in any direction. If you walk into a hyper-arid desert today without modern equipment, your body begins to break down in less than 12 hours. A human being is essentially a 60-liter container of water walking on two legs. At 40 degrees Celsius and low humidity, the dry air literally vacuums moisture out of your skin, your eyes, and your lungs before you even realize you are losing it. You lose over a liter of water an hour just standing still in the shade. Yet long before the invention of the compass, long before camels were domesticated, and long before maps were ever drawn on parchment, ancient humans walked directly into the vastest deserts on Earth. They did not just survive, they mapped them, traded across them, and moved entire communities through places where a single mistake meant guaranteed death within an afternoon. How they accomplished this is one of the most remarkable chapters in human history. The answer starts with a technology so simple it is easy to overlook, but so effective it reshaped human geography: the ostrich eggshell. In the Kalahari Desert, where surface water vanishes completely for months at a time, hunter-gatherers developed a survival network hidden beneath the earth. An ostrich eggshell is non-porous, remarkably durable, and holds roughly a liter of liquid. Ancient humans would drill a small hole in the top, drain the contents, fill the shell with fresh water, and seal the opening with beeswax or clay. But storing water in a base camp was not enough. To cross a desert stretching for hundreds of miles, you had to place water where you were not yet. Archaeologists have uncovered caches of thousands of decorated ostrich eggshells buried deep beneath the sand across southern Africa, some dating back more than 60,000 years. These were not random storage pits. They were prehistoric supply stations hidden at precise intervals along invisible routes across the scorched wasteland. To use a hidden cache of water, you first have to find it in a landscape where every single sand dune looks identical to the last. This is where modern humans fundamentally underestimate ancient intelligence. We rely on satellite navigation and printed maps. Ancient desert navigators built the map entirely inside their own heads. They were not just memorizing static landmarks, they were reading a dynamic ecosystem. A single acacia tree bent at a specific angle, a subtle shift in gravel color, or the texture of sand beneath their feet were clear highway signs. In the Australian outback, Indigenous groups created songlines, complex oral narratives mapping thousands of kilometers of arid terrain. These songs describe the landscape in exact sequence, where red clay turned to gray shale, where a dry creek bed curved around a ridge, and where a spring lay hidden beneath limestone. By singing the song in order, a traveler who had never set foot in a region could walk across it without ever losing their way. When the caches ran dry and known wells were empty, ancient humans relied on animal intelligence. Wild animals living in arid zones possess sensory capabilities that dwarf our own. Pigeons, baboons, and desert antelopes can detect humidity in the air from miles away. Ancient travelers learned to read the sky for biological signals. A flock of zebra finches flying low and fast in a straight line at dawn meant only one thing: they were heading directly toward open water. Following them precisely meant the difference between life and death. In the Kalahari, hunters developed an even more direct method. They would capture a wild baboon, feed it salt, and wait. Driven by intense thirst, the baboon would eventually lead its captors straight to a hidden seep or a water pocket concealed inside a narrow rock crevice that no human eye could ever have detected on its own. Navigating the desert also required flipping the human clock upside down. Moving during the daytime heat in a hyper-arid climate is biological suicide. The heat radiating off desert sand can exceed 70 degrees Celsius near ground level, hot enough to cook tissue through leather soles. To cross massive desert expanses, ancient humans became creatures of the night. As soon as the sun set, the temperature would plunge, sometimes by 40 degrees in a matter of hours. The desert transformed from a furnace into a cold, silent void.
But traveling in total darkness presented a new problem: spatial disorientation. Without visible landmarks, walking in a straight line over open terrain is biologically impossible for humans. Your brain naturally leans toward your dominant side, causing you to walk in massive, endless circles until you collapse from exhaustion. To keep a straight line across pitch-black sand, ancient travelers looked upward. Long before formal astronomy existed, desert nomads had mastered the mechanics of the night sky. They tracked the precise rising and setting positions of specific stars, using them as fixed compass points anchored to the horizon. But stars move across the sky as the Earth rotates, requiring continuous mental calculation of time and angle. When the sky was clouded over, they relied on a physical phenomenon beneath their feet: wind patterns. In massive deserts like the Sahara or the Arabian Desert, prevailing winds blow in consistent directions for months at a time. These winds shape the dunes into long parallel ridges known as safes. By feeling the angle of sand ridges under their feet or feeling cold winds strike a specific cheek, navigators maintained a straight trajectory through pitch darkness for hours straight. There is another truth about ancient desert travel that reshapes how we view human history. Some of the massive deserts we see today were not always deserts. Between 11,000 and 5,000 years ago, a shift in Earth's orbital tilt transformed the Sahara into a lush landscape covered in lakes, rivers, and dense vegetation. Archaeologists studying the interior of the Sahara have found rock art depicting hippos, elephants, and humans swimming in deep lakes that have long since vanished. During this era, ancient humans did not cross a desert, they walked through a rich river network. But when the orbital shift reversed, the green Sahara dried out at a terrifying speed. In a matter of centuries, lakes evaporated into salt flats, and grasslands turned back into mountains of drifting sand. Communities living in the interior faced a clear choice: adapt, build new ways of traversing the sand, or perish. As surface water vanished, humans were forced to innovate at a scale that seems almost impossible for ancient societies. They went underground. In ancient Persia and North Africa, communities began excavating qanats, massive subterranean aqueducts dug entirely by hand. These channels sloped gently downward over tens of miles, carrying water from mountain aquifers through dark underground tunnels directly across scorched desert basins without losing a single drop to evaporation. In the Atacama Desert in South America, the driest non-polar desert on Earth, ancient peoples developed ways to harvest water directly out of thin air, using stone structures and woven fiber nets to capture the dense ocean fog that rolled off the Pacific coast every morning. Crossing a massive desert was not just a physical test, it was an absolute psychological trial. In a sea of sand, the human mind struggles against sensory deprivation. Mirages created by light refracting through layers of heated air trick the eye into seeing vast lakes that evaporate into dust as you draw near. The utter silence of the desert night can cause auditory hallucinations. Yet, equipped with nothing more than stone tools, leather skins, ostrich eggshells, and an extraordinary capacity for observation, ancient humans conquered these empty spaces. They did not view the desert as an impassable barrier. They viewed it as a network of hidden trails connecting isolated worlds. Every modern road cutting through the desert rests on ghost trails blazed thousands of years ago by people who walked into the wilderness with water buried beneath the sand, a song in their memory, and stars to guide them home.